Great. Good evening, and welcome to the Common Council meeting of Tuesday, January 14th, 2022. It's 7:20 June, January. All that, huh? I'm shoveling too much. We're going to open up this meeting with a public hearing and to review the proposal by the we call it the task force, the redistricting task force, chaired by Bob Curtis. Bob, would you come up and address the council, and maybe some of your other committee members would come up if they wished? Wait a sec, you're wearing a suit. I don't remember you wearing a suit.
I thought that maybe the typical t-shirt and shorts.
This is not the retired gentleman I've come to know.
Tomorrow, different story.
All right, go.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to first thank you and Council at Large Clark for basically creating the task force and going over the rules and procedures of the task force. I think that was very important to do. Also want to thank every member of the council here tonight for your choices for people serving on the task force. I can tell you that the task force members were outstanding. I worked with a lot of boards and commissions and committees through the years, but these folks were focused, they were dedicated, and they got the job done. I'd like to introduce them if I could. They could either stand up or raise their right hand. Selected by the Council at Large, Vice Chair Mary DeSantis. First Ward, Janet DeMana. Second Ward, Nancy Kelly. Third Ward, Connie Bossy. Fourth Ward, Robin Barkenhagen. And Fifth Ward, Lee Bragg. They were so dedicated, you wouldn't believe it, and very principled as well. And it was a great experience, let me tell you. Also want to thank Megan Nolan and the Glens City Clerk's Office for helping out with all of the agendas, the meeting minutes, putting maps on PDFs, making paper for us. It was not good, but we thank Peter Pate for being there during the YouTube meetings and for archiving the meetings for posterity. Want to thank the Post-Star and the Chronicle for their work in the papers and including the maps. I think that's very good for the public to view and to give the public an idea of what's going on. Lastly, I want to thank Warren County. Before the task force started, I spoke with Warren County Administrator Ryan Moore, and he pledged the support of the county, and he came through for us, and that is highly appreciated. Finally, I want to thank Sarah Frankenfeld, who is in Warren County Planning, the GIS coordinator. Sarah was the MVP for us. Without her, we wouldn't have had maps. Without her, we wouldn't have had revisions. We kept revising and doing this and that. She was very cheerful through the whole process. So we thank everybody. I think it was a joint effort, and we really appreciate that. What I'd like to do, Mayor, with you're okay, is maybe field any questions after I go through this, if I could, so I can retain my train of thought as best as I can. This is a first for the city, obviously. We have never done a redistricting in the history of the city, and here we are. So it was new territory for all of us, but we somehow managed to get through it. In April, the council passed a resolution to authorize the creation of the independent redistricting task force, and our only function, and I'll quote here, is to assist the mayor and the common council for the redrawing of the city's 5-ward boundaries under the following rule: that district lines shall be drawn using only population data from census and other data that specifically deal with population without any consideration or use of political affiliation data. We had no political affiliation data. I think our process was pretty well transparent. We had it on the website. The meetings were public. We had announcements on the city's website about the meetings. We had the agendas and the meeting minutes there. Keyword, I think, for this task force is the word independent. Both Mayor Collins and Council at Large Clark at the beginning were determined to ensure that there'd be no political pressure, there would be no influence on the task force, and that all decisions on the redrawing of the ward boundaries would be done solely by the task force. And I think right now it's probably important for the public to understand that there's a clear distinction between two approaches and purposes to redistricting. Our task force could only rely on population data. And our approach has nothing to do with redistricting for reapportionment purposes, as you see in congressional districts in New York State or throughout the country. Our task force's only goal is to comply with the principle of one person, one vote, as espoused by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1964. Under one person, one vote, no district may have more or less than 10% population difference than another district. In cases of reapportionment on a congressional level, there are other factors that their task force, if they had one, could consider. They could preserve communities of interest, they could look at being compact and contiguous, they could look at following political subdivisions or natural boundaries. We couldn't consider any of that, just so that everybody keeps that in mind. The task force was formed. We met weekly from April 21st through May 19th. We thought weekly would be a better way to do it, fresher in our minds, a weekly meeting, and get the job done quicker. We proposed a redrawn map, which we have here, and Council, you have copies of that we're showing tonight. We revised the legal description of the 5 ward boundaries, and we've given the Common Council a proposed local law, and that contains a proposition to be decided by the city's voters via mandatory referendum in November. And tonight, we humbly ask the Common Council if they could consider acceptance of our proposal, because the task force duty has been handed over to the council for that. And then if that's good, then authorize the scheduling of a public hearing on the proposed local law. I threw together a couple of things here that I think are probably important to mention on redistricting. In my view, redistricting will create a perfect opportunity after 58 years or so for the city to do the right thing for its voters. It will make the city compliant with the nationwide principle of one person, one vote, which is equal legislative representation as mandated by the U.S. Constitution. And it will allow each of these cities' 5 wards to have a population within 10% of each other, creating equal legislative influence. And yes, it will require some minor changes in 2023 polling site locations for those parts of the city where the ward boundaries have been redrawn. Redistricting will not affect city community development block grant funding and HUD eligible target areas in any way. It will not affect Glens Falls School District or Glens Falls Common School District residency or taxes in any way. And it will not be the result of any politically oriented ward population changes. We did not look at any personal, private, or confidential data whatsoever. What we looked at was simply this, and it is a map that you all have. It was given to us by Warren County Planning. It's the City of Glens Falls 2020 census map, and it shows census blocks. And within those blocks, you see numbers, and those numbers are the population of each census block. So what the task force did was looked at those census blocks, and we went one ward to another and did through the process of addition and subtraction, we came up with the figures that we came up with. How did we derive this? Well, we started with the 2020 census figure of 14,830. We divided that by 5 to come out with an average, 5 wards, the average 2,966. When we started, and Peter, you're probably showing the maps here. When we started, the current map shows Ward 1 population at 2,554, Ward 2, 3,884, Ward 3, 3,745, Ward 4, 1,862, Ward 5, 2,785. So in looking at that, Ward 2 and Ward 3 were well over that average of 2,966. Ward 4 well below the average. Ward 5 was the closest that we had to the average. So what we had to key on was Wards 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as we looked at things, we thought, well, you know, maybe the easiest way is to, since Ward 1 and Ward 2 are adjacent to each other, and Ward 2 has a larger population than Ward 1, let's let Ward 1 encroach into Ward 2 until we have the figures that we need. We did the same thing for Wards 3 and 4. We knew that Ward 3 had a major population expansion over 4, so we let Ward 4 encroach into Ward 3. And what we came up with were some numbers that were pretty close for all of the wards. Our proposed population for Ward 1, 3,228. For Ward 2, 3,210. For Ward 3, 2,839. For Ward 4, 2,768. Ward 5, 2,785. We did a little tweaking for Ward 5, and that was it. We followed the changes in a 3-step process. We had to do the mapping first. We couldn't do these simultaneously. Once we concluded the mapping, then we went on to rewrite the legal boundary changes. Once we finished the legal boundary changes, we then assimilated that language into the language for the proposed local law and city charter. This is a city charter amendment. It is not a city charter revision. Why is this a mandatory referendum? It is a mandatory referendum because cities, under municipal home rule law, there are 12 categories that cities have to follow. And for the city of Glens Falls, when we looked at doing the redrawing of the ward boundaries, that don't affect the city council people, it does affect the city supervisors at the council level because they have a weighted vote system. Changing our population for the wards will change the weighted vote for the city supervisors, and that is something that Warren County will have to deal with. Local law number 2 of 2022, the proposed local law, you have it in your packet. I'd like to briefly go over that if I could. We have entitled it, a local law amending the charter of the City of Glens Falls to redraw the 5-ward boundary divisions of the City of Glens Falls. Section 1, the purpose, we sort of talked about that here. Section 2 is changing of the charter for the ward divisions, and what you have in your packet is the ward divisions, the changes that we made to the wards as a result of the map changes. Following that, I think section 3 and 4, invalidity and repealer, that's legal boilerplate. Section 5 is mandatory referendum. We have to include that in the proposed local law. And I will read that. In accordance with section 23(1) of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, this local law shall be submitted for the approval of the electors of the City of Glens Falls at the next general election of state government officers to be held no less than 60 days after the adoption of this local law. Such general election date, the general election to be held on November 8, 2022. At such election, the following ballot proposal shall be submitted to the qualified voters of the City of Glens Falls. And this is the wording that will be on the ballot in November for city voters to decide. Resolved that local law number, I believe 3, Megan, is it local number 3? 4, of the City of Glens, of 2022 of the City of Glens Falls, amending the charter of the City of Glens Falls to redraw the 5-ward boundary divisions is hereby approved. There will be a box to check if yes, a box to check if no. The voting in November, this will pass if there is 1 vote more for yes than 1 vote for no. Effective date, if this goes through, it will take effect on January 1st of 2023. I don't have anything more to add other than the task force will certainly stand ready to assist the common council in any way that you would like us to if we are asked. If anyone has any questions.
So let me just begin. First of all, thank you so much to you and your committee. We really are at your great appreciation of the work you've done. Everything that we asked to be done, you've addressed it. And thank you again for all you do. All right. And I'd love your committee to not go away if you wouldn't. I'd like to try to reconvene you in the next few months and put you to future tasks since you did such a good job. So having said that, I want to make it clear that I want to give everybody a chance to ask questions, both in the public, and we're going to leave this open comment period open for 2 weeks. And so we can take public comment and council members, anybody else too, if the county board of supervisor members want to weigh in, they're all welcome to. We need to listen to concerns and decide whether, so first thing, that tonight's resolution, which is number 28, I believe, we're going to pull it for discussion so we can all talk about it. But we're not, I want to make it really clear to everybody, we're not voting. What we're only voting to do is take the work of your committee in for consideration. We're not approving this or the language that you've given us for the law. It's just a matter of accepting your work on record that we've done it. Fair enough? And I just want to be real clear because we want to give everybody a chance to weigh in, ask questions. Then, in the end of 2 weeks, if there are concerns, if there are suggestions, then the council will decide whether to let's say I decide that, or I suggest that we add a 7th ward. Forget 6, we're just going to straight to 7, right? We're going to add 2 more. We're going to split 1st and 3rd ward and whatever crazy idea I might have. If the council agrees, we can make that change and we could vote and see if there's a second and if it votes. If the council doesn't wish to change and wishes to not consider my changes, they don't have to. There'll be a motion and we can accept it as is. I just wanted to make it real clear because some of my language, as we wrote these up, they weren't clear. I want to be absolutely crystal clear. Is that understood by everybody? Everybody okay with that process?
My question with this is, I don't remember having a vote to take something into consideration before, so this seems like an unusual mechanism to me.
Fair enough. It was the only mechanism that I wanted to do to make sure that we're accepting the work of the commission as it is.
I don't see when we use other commissions and other task forces that we bring up and have are we, going to accept this or not accept this. Okay. So I find it very unusual.
Fair enough. Okay. Is everybody clear on what I'm suggesting? Great. Now let's open up to questions. Anybody questions for Bob or comments?
I have some questions.
Sure.
So you said that the only things that you used as criteria to determine which is going to be an award or which is going to get moved around was based solely on voter data?
Population data.
Okay, so because I had heard that one condition was to keep wards so that they had slices of downtown, so that was a condition that wasn't.
That's in the rules. That was in the rules we approved.
It was not in the amendment that we approved. We didn't have, we can.
Council at large, Clark is correct. It's in that resolution that was approved unanimously by the council in April, setting up this task force.
And I also heard that there was a respect for people's incumbency.
Yes, absolutely.
That's something that should have been stated.
With all due respect, how would we go through a process whereby Ward 3 and Ward 2 no longer have a council member or a city supervisor, but hey, we passed
by doing it on an expiration of the term, so that expiration.
Well, then you would be waiting for 3 years to pass this.
We've been waiting for 58 years.
Well, I don't have an answer for you beyond that.
Well, I'm just saying.
But what I'm saying is that why is it so bad to look at trying to have representatives, when we're talking about legislative representation here, still for the 3rd ward, still for the 2nd ward, for both at the city level and at the county level. That was a no-brainer to us.
I'm just saying that it is not something that was described as one of the rules, and then when you're saying that you're going by this, there's clearly some other things that you were going by that weren't.
Thank you. about
That's
this.
the resolution.
Is there, raise your hand if you were on the council and you did not know that we were going to keep the council members and I know we had the conversation, I know I wasn't alone. So raise your hand if you recognize that these wards were to be drawn and keeping the council members and both the supervisors in their ward. Please raise your hand if you knew that was the expectation of the committee.
I think that this is not the proper way to be doing this. I think it should be explicit in the amendment, and I think this is very untransparent. I'd also like to know if you said the public process was like having these filmed and posted on the website. I'm wondering with the meetings, how many people from the public attended?
No one from the public attended. There were public viewings on the YouTube.
Public was certainly invited, just as they are to any common council meeting, any board or commission meeting. Whether the public shows up or not is not our responsibility.
Yes,
May I
and I
address
did
the-
watch it on YouTube, and I watched all of them,
Oh,
so
nice.
they were very available.
May I address the representative second part of this?
Sure.
Now, if we had removed a representative from their duly elected ward, wouldn't that have smacked of politicism? That even if it wasn't discussed, we didn't want to have any kind of impropriety thrown on us. So it was clear to us that had to happen. And again, it was also, I saw almost every hand here raised, but to me, if we had, say, taken you out of your own ward, or Diana out of her ward, then we'd be having a real to-do right now.
The solution for this would be that the thing would not be implemented until the cessation of the term. So it would be implemented at the end of the term. Also, is moving around districts, gerrymandering districts for a political purpose, that's what gerrymandering is. So I don't think that
We did
by
not do that.
looking at where somebody lives and then making the lines go around that,
Somebody who lives is the elected legislative representative.
I mean, it's elected legislative representative to a different ward at a different time. On a different cycle.
We can disagree. We can still be friends.
Also, I would like to know if we're moving things based on votes. Why 2 schools and 2 parks got moved out of Ward 3?
Again, schools and parks have nothing to do with this. It's totally population. We could not consider any of that.
No
But
voters
they
to sign
didn't
up.
move.
Nor did voters, right? I just want to collect you guys. You said not of voters, it's not voters, it's population. Just so you know, they've said it several times, I wanted you to be clear. They were forbidden or purposely requested to not review any voting information, and they didn't, that's what they reported to you. But they did make the changes.
There's no people residing on the school property or the park
Well,
property.
this gets into another issue, which is, you said that communities of interest wouldn't be considered, but that in most redistricting communities of interest are.
Right. Because that's the way, in many instances where there are allegations of gerrymandering by either political party in a congressional district or whatever, those things enter into it. All that we could do was look at the population data. That was it.
That's what I look at for now.
We do have the numbers on viewers if you're interested.
Total of 146 YouTube viewers, 35 the first meeting, 26, 65, 20. So people did watch.
Any other questions, maybe questions from council members?
I just want to thank the task force. Thank you for spending your time away from your family, your friends, to take this historic step for the city. I appreciate your efforts and thoughtfulness in this. I was able to watch you guys perform your task, and you did it with great poise and thoughtfulness, so I appreciate that from all of you. I think you guys did what we asked you to do. And now the residents of Glens Falls will be equally represented. Ben will have a larger chunk of the third ward now, and he will represent an equal amount of people, or close to equal amount of people that that Diana and Bob and everybody else has. And that's a good thing, because it wasn't like that before. And it was unfair. It's unfair to the residents that were underrepresented. And so now it is. And so I appreciate all that you have done for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I just wanted to add one thing that I missed in the proposed local law, and that is that this would be reviewed every 10 years by the common council, and if there are any changes that are needed, that they would be added to the charter in the same process that this task force has been.
Bob, I have a quick question. The weighted voting system that the supervisors work with, so it just goes through the process, it comes to referendum in November and passes, and the county makes that change. We don't collectively
Correct.
use any
Correct.
votes at the county?
No, well, I don't know the system for how the county operates. I would assume that you have 5 wards now with wards 2 and 3 with a greater weighted vote than the others, that they're going to even out. But in total, for the city's representation, would they be the same? I would hope so.
And I'll say that the weighted votes, we didn't ask what the weighted votes were. We knew that there was weighted votes. We didn't ask what those numbers were. We ignored the fact that we could be changing that.
Well, I agree with Bob. I think the weighted vote at the county is based on population. So our population didn't change. It's just the population in each of the wards. So now, like you said, probably be more closely weighted.
I just wanted to, I know I've asked a number of questions. I just wanted to thank you for your work. I do think that you did, the job that you had in front of you, and I think the task force did a really good job.
Thank you.
I apologize if,
Nobody do apologize.
Diana, may I ask you a question? In your 5 years, 6 years, what representation did you do for the schools or the parks?
I mean, Crandall Park was kind of a big area of interest. I created the fire and ice
Right.
skating
And,
thing. I got that
and
too.
your 4th Ward gentleman was there with you too, almost all of them. And, I have always felt that park was kind of a combination of the whole city. And I never really thought about it being in Ward 3 until I got that phone call, and that's when I'm just wondering if
Yeah.
it.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about this, when I saw these maps, I didn't have any problem with your work. I said casually to my friend, "Oh man, Crandall Park's not in my ward." That's all it was. It wasn't like, and why did they do
Well,
this?
and I wonder with the school show, I mean, the representatives
Yeah.
really have nothing
Yeah.
to do with the schools and the school district and
But-
how that's operated or anything.
But, and of course.
Actually, there's some things that do come up with regard to the school
Okay.
for residents, so.
Well, of course. I mean, there are issues that come up with the school in terms of road issues, sidewalk issues, kids walking to school, crosswalks. I get those kind of calls, but I also think that if you have Kensington or middle school or whatever in your ward, you can handle those well too. And I think we all have a vested interest in all of our parks. So it's not like Crandall
Right,
Park was
right,
my park.
right.
It just was, I just love it, walk it every day, and put a lot of my
And you
attention on
still
it.
will.
But
You
but I
won't
still
stop
will.
at that ward boundary and go, I gotta turn around.
I still will, and I also care about all the rest of the park. So again, my concern was not any criticism of your work.
I would just say that, there are people that I think do care about what's in their neighborhood and what isn't in their neighborhood. And that the ward boundaries do kind of fall into a neighborhood boundary.
Yep, and we look forward to hearing.
I have three things. First two, somewhat serious. I didn't know I lived in the second ward my whole life until I thought to run for councilman, and somebody said, "What ward are you in?" And I said, "I don't know." And they said, "Second ward." So it didn't mean a lot to me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean a lot to others. There may be people that truly identify with a certain ward, and this could be a big change for them. So I want to recognize. The second is that that on this, Ben, I'll pass this along to you, but I want it read into the record that the resolution that we passed with the rules on it, the City of Glens Falls 2022 Independent Redistricting Committee, on the third page, number 8, section C, wards should continue to include a portion of the central business district if practicable. So it was there, we all knew it, or we had a chance to read it. If we didn't notice it, we didn't notice it, but it was passed in the minutes, read in the minutes and
I
passed.
would just say, and for my sake, that this was also put through as a commission. I was having problems with the technical difficulties of the way this was put through and the speed that it went through and what it is in combination with coming on the heels of reassessments and on DRI shifting. So I think it was one of those things that I would in the future spend a lot more time on the details of it.
But we actually incorporated your change. You didn't like that it was a committee and we changed it.
I'm just saying, but it went from,
Yeah, so.
it went like, here it comes at you. You know, like it or not, here
We
it
went
comes.
through several iterations of it. And I appreciate your input. We appreciate it.
And the logic behind the downtown corridors is obviously that each one of you get a representation in the downtown corridor.
Right.
That makes sense. If again, if we had taken, Ben, we had taken your whole downtown corridor away, would you have been upset by that?
I'm just saying
Okay.
that there's a number of things that are normal redistricting criteria that weren't followed. There were a number of things that were added in or that were not part of the amendment, or the authorization for it, and were not communicated out to the public in a way that I feel is transparent. So that is where I'm at with it.
And the last one is a bit of humor. I spent my whole life in the second ward, and you now put the mayor in the first ward, and
I asked.
Ed and I are now in the first ward. My goodness, how dare you? Thank you, and thank you.
You are officially an East Ender now.
Ed, that's right, I am officially an East Ender. My aunt and uncle down in the Haskell Avenue will be proud.
That's where your roots are from.
That's right, absolutely, absolutely, my parents and everyone, so, thank you.
Thank you.
I just, again, thank you so much.
And thank you all, and Ben, for the questions and the input. We do appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
yeah, all input as well, thank you. With that, we will keep the public hearing open for comment, and we will begin the regular Common Council meeting of Tuesday, June 14, 2022. It is a little after 7:30, sorry about that. It's great input, and tonight we have for the Pledge of Allegiance be led by Mary Goodwin, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need to, let's open up the meeting to public comments. If you have any comments for the Common Council, please step up to the microphone, give us your name and your address, please.
Hi,
Good evening.
my name is Don Franks. I live at 15 Windy Ridge Road, the second ward in past.
Don, I'm sorry, can I interrupt you and just ask you to speak in the microphone so the people at home can hear you?
Oh, okay. Don Franks, I live at 15 Windy Ridge Road, formerly in the second district, currently in the second district. Anyway, the reason I was here last year was to announce the coming of a free medical dental vision clinic, and it was brought about by a request from a committee which is formed here in Warren County. I'm here tonight to announce that the first one was such a success. There's another one information. First is just a flyer about the new clinic. Second are all the results from the first clinic, how many patients we had, how much the medical costs were. And third, the breakdown as to how many patients there were per county. I prepared enough for one for each person,
Thank you.
if you're likely. And the clinic is going to be, clinic is going to be September 17th and 18th. It's going to be at Washington County Fairgrounds again. And,
Don, I want you to ask you again to speak. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that folks at home can hear you.
the clinic is on the 17th and 18th of September. It's at the Washington County Fairgrounds again, and it is all day Saturday and half day Sunday, and then they're repacking the equipment to take to the next pop-up clinic in Buffalo.
Just going to ask you a question, who sponsors this?
Good question. RAM, the organization I work with in Tennessee, owns all the equipment, and they don't come to an area unless they're invited. It's the committee that invites them, has to rent the facility, has to put up, I think it's 22 double rooms for all the staff and people who operate the equipment, and then provide food for all the people for the entire time. And it's all their equipment, but all the finances come from us. We run individual fundraising.
Is it for income eligible families and individuals?
It is not income related. It's not citizenship related. I mean, we don't have any limitation like only Warren County or only Washington County. We had people from Albany come at the last clinic. No one is required to have insurance. It's insurance free. One of the nice things about the clinic is they cover dental, which is not covered in most insurance policies, and they also make prescription eyeglasses on site, so the patient goes out with prescription glasses paid for.
Thank you. Sounds like a wonderful program.
Yes.
Thank you, and if you have any digital material, we can put that out on our website like we did last time.
Okay. Actually, this last time I was so busy with everything else, I didn't get a chance to run over the camera. But there was somebody with the RAM organization that has a camera, and as soon as I can talk about some slides from Tennessee, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Is there any volunteering or anything like that?
Yeah, they're actually the papers that I passed out ask for volunteers. Their volunteers are not only people to do registration, things like that, but also doctors, dentists, and ophthalmologists. And if you want to volunteer at the clinic, you would volunteer through RAM. And once your name goes into their system, we don't have any more contact with you. They contact everybody through email. If you want to help put the clinic on, that's where we come in, and you can volunteer. Just let me know that you want to be involved.
Okay. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Any other public comment?
Hi folks, my name is Charles Randall. I own property at 24 Leonard Street. I'd like to address the common council here on problem tenants or properties in our, I'm in the first ward. I have there's a property at 26 Leonard Street. We sent you folks a video today.
Yep.
We got
It's disturbing. I've lived there since I was 21. I'm 60 now. So I used to see the trains come in, unload the circus and everything right in the backyard. And just over the last 2-3 years, that property has become really disturbing. The rest of the neighborhood is really suffering because of this property. it's been ongoing since Bob Blaze has been mayor. So it's been aware of it. Everybody's aware of it, but nothing's getting done. I live right there where all that video, if you look at that video, they're in my driveway. What do I do? You know? Codes are being broken. You look at that video, they're parked their trucks right in the sidewalks. The officers are right there. Nothing gets done. And I'm really frustrated with it. And if someone could tell me where I go next, I've invested a lot of money in that area. I own 5 properties over there. And someone needs to step up and do something about it. It's getting to a point where something really needs to be done. Drugs are being dealt out of this. You know, I have a neighbor right there. She's got a young daughter. She's got to listen to that language going on. And nothing gets done. It's really disturbing.
So you're welcome to give my office a call tomorrow, speak with Bernie Gregg, get you on a meeting with me. I have a meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow to talk about the property, review the information that was sent to us.
Okay.
So I don't know, you know, other than to say that the video is alarming and disturbing, and I can empathize and understand what you're saying. I will begin to address it tomorrow. It's the first time I've heard of that property myself, but I've only been off this 6 months. And you must have said Bob Blaze, but I bet you meant Jack Diamond.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
Bob Blaze been the mayor of Lake George
Yeah,
for
you're right.
40 years,
You're
so
right.
I was.
I'm getting worked up here.
No,
That's the problem. I'm worked
And
up.
you have every right
Yeah.
to be. So I'm telling you that, come in and we'll
Yeah.
start to look at what we can do.
Already
Okay?
alone this year, there's been 22 calls that the officers have had to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I've stopped to talk to the sheriff or the chief of police there, and the secretary knew all about it. So it's out there.
Fair
She
enough.
knew. It's ongoing. It's really we gotta. I mean, the property is owned by Donna Santos. She is in a nursing home.
And let us not,
But it's-
I don't want to share
Share
publicly
names, yeah.
the names of
Yeah.
homeowners
Yeah.
and do that. But thank you. I promise you, I will meet with, I have an appointment tomorrow with Building and Codes. I will be talking to the police chief and getting a report on the property.
Chris
First
already
thing-
knows about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's.
Chris is no longer with us, so
Oh.
and I'm telling you, I will address it.
I appreciate that.
All right? I don't hesitate. Call my office. We'll get you to come in.
All right.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any further public comment?
So, Eric Unkoff, Shirt Factory. So I just wanted to add on to Chuck's comments there, not necessarily on that particular property, but there's a handful of other properties that are similar in nature to this one that you're going to talk to him about tomorrow. And I think we need to look at them as a group. I mean, certainly 22 police calls thus far in the year, I would consider that to be a nuisance. And I know there was a nuisance provision in the code to, mainly was put in there to address some of the problem bars back in the day. I don't know whether that can be applied to some of these houses, because there's certain other houses, there's one by Abe Wing that I hear, the house with red shutters. I've heard that from like 10 different people, like pointing fingers on that. And the police department knows where the problems are, the code enforcement people know where the problems are, they know where the frequent flyers are, so to speak.
We also.
So we need to do something, because these few houses, and we're not talking a huge number of houses here, we're talking just a couple houses, they're really impacting the quality of life in these neighborhoods. Because, I mean, there's people out there shouting profanity all hours of the night. It's a little hard to enjoy your backyard if you've got people out there, doing what they're doing. And I'm sorry to send everyone the video there, but I think it needed to be done just so you can really see what's going on. It's definitely not family friendly, but there's a problem.
Sure. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, so I think as you're talking to Chuck and looking what you can do with the one property, I just want to keep in the back of your mind that they're and certainly we can tell you which properties they are, but honestly, the police department and code enforcement already know what his properties are, you know? But if there's any question, we can certainly give you a short list, and I'm not gonna give it to you here, but, they're known commodities already.
They are, and they're being addressed. You know, I can't, all I can do is tell you that I will address it and work within the limits of our laws and our codes to do that. And that I make an effort to it, okay? But I don't want to make you a promise that I can't, like, I've yet to have a situation here in City Hall that was a simple one, right? And they are complex, there's different examples, and I wanna protect people's privacy, and I wanna address concerns, and your concerns are well heard. I appreciate it, you gave us that email, we all saw it, and I'm telling you that I'll address it.
All right, great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just to add on to that, the Village Green Apartments, I've had a number of different residents there who complained about the same behavior that was in the video. I had a meeting scheduled with some of the people from the management company and the police chief, and the management company never showed up, and then it's kind of withered on the vine because I haven't heard anything back from the people who are bringing it up. But this is not an isolated incident. We need to have some kind of strategy for these kinds of things, because it's not good to be living in a neighborhood where you don't even want to be outside.
Right, absolutely.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, public comment for the common council? Seeing none, I would like to go to committee reports. Councilman Clark.
No report.
Councilman Donahue.
No reports.
Councilman Landry.
Only to report that the Labor Management Committee met this evening to review the proposal for the contract for the fire department, and we worked on that, and we'll be meeting with the fire department in negotiations a week, I believe it's a week from tonight.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Palmer.
The Building and Codes Committee has not met, but as everybody knows, there's been a lot of change in building and codes, and so my goal is to give them a little bit of time and then call a meeting so that we can have an update on the status of where things are and going forward. So I just wanted to let you know that. And then in terms of recreation, I reported last time that we were looking at court rehabilitation for some of our parks other than Crandall Park, and we have looked into some numbers of how much that would cost, but not completely, so I'll be calling a meeting to kind of go over all of that.
Thank you. Councilman Lapp.
Just a couple of things from special projects. Mary's going to probably report on some things, but there's a couple of things that I was following up on. For the Board of Public Safety to get us over the finish line with the taxi cab law, Councilman Clark had said that he had given them a list of streets, and they gave me this Hawa. So if you could give me the list of streets, or if it's just pulling them out of the code, I can. But that's where we're hung up on that one. Also, I did a complete streets training with Pat Dobbs a few days ago, or maybe it was last week, and I think that considering the amount of traffic accidents and fatalities that we've had nearby, and that the Board of Public Safety seems to be a perfectly good place to have that kind of review, that I'm going to work on putting something together to bring to the next Board of Public Safety for a complete streets policy. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Good.
For the special projects, we did meet with the Board of Public Safety on the 8th. Also in that meeting, we had the fire chief and the police chief, and we had gotten the information from the city clerk. And we're a long ways from being done, because it's it's really gonna be a debt. We haven't looked at the overnight parking in, I can't remember how many years it's been, so it's gonna be a work in progress. Our next meeting will be the 21st, and it was suggested that we all invite the DPW because it's going to be a big, responsibility for them. And so we still have a lot of work to do, and our next meeting will be the 21st, and we'll just continue to report on as we go forward.
Mary, what time?
2 o'clock at Mayor's Conference.
Mary, have you reached out to Tom yet? Tom, DPW, Tom Gerard? So that would be the first 24 hours, make sure you, and I can do it if you'd like, I can invite, think that'd be good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see, that takes us to a voice vote. Resolution 1 is a resolution approving the minutes of the May 24, 2022 meeting of the Glens Falls Common Council. Resolution 2 is to approve the clerk's monthly PVB report.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Under roll call vote, I think we want to pull and just do it separately. Resolution 28 to accept the work, and again, it's just accepting the work, not finalizing the map or keeping the public comment period open. So let me go with roll call vote. Resolution 3 to increase the revenue code A 009999-1589A miscellaneous public safety income by $9,240 and increase the budget expense code appropriation A 23120-1000 Police Department Personnel Services by $9,240. 4, resolution to increase estimated revenue code A 009999-A2626 forfeiture crime proceeds by $143.50 to increase the budget expense code appropriation A 23126-4479 seize assets state GFPD by $143.50. Resolution 5 to authorize the Mayor Collins to enter into a lease agreement with Laurel Mountain Leasing Financial Services for the lease purchase of a 2022 Ford Utility Police Interceptor vehicle. The financing proposal lists the vehicle at a total cost of $45,648 with annual payment of $12,685.68. Yes, for the term of 4 years. Resolution 6 to authorize the Controller's Office to increase general fund expense line A 11685230 IT equipment by $6,500 and increase general fund revenue account line A 009999-4089 federal aid other by $6,500. Funding received through ARPA, American Rescue Plan, to pay for the required MFA, multi-factor authentication for cybersecurity. 7 is a resolution to authorize the Controller's Office to increase general fund expense line A 11320-4487 auditors other expert professional services by $2,600. Increase the general fund revenue account line A 0000999-4089 federal aid other by $2,600. Funding received through ARPA to engage in Marvin and Company to assist with quarterly reporting of the ARPA monies and any additional research on ARPA-related expenditures. 8 is a resolution to authorize the Controller's Office to increase general fund expense line A109901-9000 inter-transfer other funds by $73,705.53 and increase the general fund revenue account A 00999-4088 other by $73,705.53 for previously recorded expenditures for the Dix Avenue water and sewer betterments. 9, to authorize the City of Glens Falls Community Development manual payments in the amount of $22,592.30. 10 is a resolution approving the authorization submission of the city's entitlement community development block grant money program fiscal year for 2022, year 3 annual action plan by CBG program budget in the amount of $482,080 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for review. 11, resolution approving a proposal from CT Mail Associates, DPC, submitted March 31st, 2022 as a result of RFP process and authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with CT Mail to provide project delivery and administrative services for the city's ADK Gateway Home Ownership Program and to include HUD certified counseling services provided through an appropriate subcontractor. Arrangement with CT Mail to be funded entirely by the city's 2021 New York State Home Program Award. 12 is a resolution approving the proposal from Flatley Reed, Inc., submitted June 1st, 2022 as a result of the request for proposal process and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Flatley Reed to provide lead-based paint assessment testing services at the price of $550 per housing unit and $10 each dust or soil sample needed for eligible housing units participating in the city's housing rehabilitation and home buyer assistance programs funded through the Community Development Block Grant Program and or New York State Home Program or other applicable federal and state housing grant resources. 13, resolution to approve the purchase of Wi-Fi equipment from StoreTech LLC to establish a wireless computer network on the first and second floors of City Hall for $4,656.37, a process recommended by the Glens Falls Technology Committee at the May 4th, 2022 meeting. 14, a resolution to approve the extension of the 2022 mowing city-owned dams and landfill contract bid 20-5 to the Garden Barn LLC for a total amount of $25,000 to mow each dam and landfill during the 2022 year. 15, a resolution to approve TAP Glens Falls Connector, City of Glens Falls, PIN 1761-88 to allow Glens Falls to advance the project by authorizing the mayor to execute of all necessary agreements, certifications, or reimbursement requests for federal aid and or Marshallese aid on behalf of the city. The sum of $1,091,241.38 to be appropriated from the bond resolution 2019-397 and to be made available to cover the cost of the construction of the project as attached. That is the TAP program that works on the bridges to and the school, the bike lanes, just so you're all aware, to connect the Prines Island. That's an 80-20% match grant. So 80% of that money comes back to the city when the project is done. Resolution 16 is to approve the encroachment permit renewal for Full Foundation Pentecostal Church, 264 Warren Street, Suite K, Glens Falls, to place a sandwich board on the sidewalk near the front entrance from June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2023, in compliance with ADA regulations for public access on the sidewalk. 17 is to approve an encroachment permit for 2006 Glen Street and 2006 Glen Street, Glens Falls, by Mayor Collins on June 6th, subject to retroactive common council approval for placement of mechanical lifts, one in front of the business on the sidewalk and one in the back of the business on the sidewalk for repair work to the brick and the facade from June 15th through September 1st, 2022, in compliance with ADA regulations. 18, to approve an encroachment permit for Hudson Headwaters Health Network, 161 Cary Road, Queensbury, to place a table on the sidewalk in front of Crandall Public Library on June 27, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the annual National Testing Day in compliance with ADA regulations. 19, a resolution to approve encroachment permit for Hudson Headwaters Health Network, 27 Western Ave, Glens Falls, was approved by Mayor Collins on June 6th, and subject to retroactive common council approval, to have Frank and Derek Leo Enterprise, Maple Street, Glens Falls, cut on Southwestern Avenue in between Nathan Street and Columbus Street for a water tap from June 7th through June 8th, 2022, with the attached standard stipulations from the city engineer's office. 20 is a resolution to approve an encroachment permit renewal for Mikado's Restaurant, 195 Glen Street, Glens Falls, for placement of waste oil barrel and adjacent trash barrels in the public alleyway next to 195-197 Glen Street, rear of the building, for a period of June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2023. With the understanding the permit must be renewed on an annual basis. 21 is a resolution to approve encroachment permit for Mikado's Restaurant, 195 Glen Street, for one air inlet fan and two air exhaust fans that overhang the rear of the building for a period of June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2023, with the understanding the permit must be renewed on an annual basis. 22 is a resolution to approve encroachment permit for Frank and Rebecca Endevery, owner of tax map 302.16-16-9, commonly known as 42 Baldwin Avenue, Glens Falls, for a curb cut to install a driveway at this location with the following conditions: not to exceed 10 feet. There must be a concrete apron in compliance with the city code. And this was per advisory opinion from the planning board on June 7th. 23 is a resolution to approve a mobile food unit license application renewal to Tim Shin, DBA Creative Caterers, 134 Loudon Road, Saratoga Springs, New York, as approved by Mayor Collins on May 19th, subject to retroactive common council approval, to vend in Granville Park on June 12th for the car show in compliance with the New York State COVID-19 guidelines. 24 is a resolution to approve a mobile food unit license application for Jack Celeste, DBA Coach's Corner at 199 Hatchery Road, Gansford, as approved by Mayor Collins on May 25th, subject to retroactive common council approval, to vend in front of City Park, City Hall from May 25th on a weekly basis through December 31st, 2022 in compliance with New York State COVID guidelines. 25 is a resolution to approve encroachment permit for Grow, 18 Exchange Street, Glens Falls, as approved by Mayor Collins on May 25th, subject to retroactive common council approval. Grow to place a sandwich board at the end of Exchange Street near Glen Street for the period of May 27th, 2022 through May 31st, 2023 in compliance with ADA regulations. 26 is a resolution to approve mobile food unit license renewal application for Michelle Arno, DBA Michelle's Lemonade, 69 Belvedere, Albany, New York, for a one-week license to vend in Crandall Park for the 4th of July celebration on July 3rd in compliance with New York State COVID guidelines. Resolution 27 to approve a mobile food license unit application renewal for Haley Gerard, 92 Hunter Street, Glens Falls, New York, is approved by Mayor Collins on May 31st, subject to retroactive common council approval for one-week license to vend City Park outside of the mill from June 8th through June 15th, 2022 in compliance with New York State COVID guidelines. 28, we're tabling. 29, resolution to increase GGFT expense line E14563044-4400 contracted services by $50,000 to increase revenue line E1009999-2414 federal aid from CARES Act for $50,000 to renew the contracted labor agreement with Capital District Transportation Authority to provide necessary training and transit operators to operate full trolley schedule in 2022. Resolution 30 is a resolution to approve the warrant. Do we have a motion?
Question.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Resolution 29.
Yes.
Do we pick up all the fees for the bus system?
No, we don't pick up any of those fees. Those fees are in their approved budget, and the only fee that the city of Glens Falls pays is an allocated $60,000 a year towards the overall GGFT budget. So this $50,000 is within their budget that they ask for every year, and not every year, since COVID, right? And they figured it into their budget, and they get funding reimbursed by state and federal dollars for it. So this is really just us getting them the money that they've already budgeted for, knowing that they need help. But it's not coming out of our general fund. All right.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
So that's roll call vote, please.
Councilman Lawrence Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Donahue,
Yes.
Councilman Landry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Palmer, yes, Councilman Lapham,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gooden.
Yes.
And so, resolution 28, it's a resolution to accept and approve the work of the City of Glens Falls Independent Redistricting Task Force and accept the redrawn 2022 City of Glens Falls Ward Redistricting Map pursuant to the local law 4-2022 as attached. So all the resolution here is to just accept their work, not to finalize this. The public comment period is still open. Do we have a motion for a roll call vote on resolution 28?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Lawrence Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Donahue,
Yes.
Councilman Landry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Palmer, yes, Councilman Lapham,
No.
Councilwoman Gooden.
Yes.
Thank you. Old business, Mr. Clark.
Yes. First off, I want to thank the Councilman Lapham and the Technology Committee for doing the diligent work of getting us Wi-Fi in City Hall. So I appreciate you and the committee working on that. There'll be a lot of happy people. Also, it warms my heart to see the Special Projects Committee really going at it with the overnight parking and the taxi cab code changes with languished out there for a while. So again, I appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing there. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Donahue.
Nothing.
Councilman, old business, Councilman Landry.
No old business.
Councilwoman Palmer, old business.
Yeah, just a couple good things. I was really happy to see the completion of the water and sewer upgrades, the water and sewer filtration system. Yeah, sand filters, painting, and replacing valves, and they posted a picture of it on their Facebook page, and it looked great. So, you know, that's something that we should all be very grateful for, is the quality drinking water in our city. I also just wanted to recognize and thank a group called Bike Glens Falls. I know you volunteer with them, but it was really started by a couple third constituents who are planners, Norville, Greenberger, and Ethan Gaddy, who wanted to see, you know, just more emphasis on people who like to commute in the city through bikes. And they've done a lot of good work and engaged the public. And they have a website, bikeglensfalls.com, and an Instagram page and a Facebook page. So I just encourage people to check them out and get involved if you're interested. And then I know it seems like it was a long time ago already, but I just wanted to say how great Memorial Day was and how nice it was to see everybody and see our community out again. That's it.
That was like an hour longer than on schedule of how the parade went, because it was a victim of its own popularity. Just to add on to what Diane was saying about Bike Glens Falls, there's going to be a complete streets demonstration, street takeover on July 13th, I believe. I'll have more information at the next council meeting. But what that entails is taking over the street for a short amount of time to demonstrate different things that might be done to make streets more accessible for pedestrians, bicyclists, or mass transit, or people with accessibility needs. So you'll hear more from me about that later.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gooden, old business, sorry.
No.
New business, Councilman Clark.
I have no new business.
New business, Mr. Donahue. Mr. Landry.
I'd like to congratulate Habitat for Humanity. They recently completed 3 homes on Hubby Street here in the city. This is the first time that they've attempted multiple buildings for their clients. 3 qualified families and children now have safe, affordable, and decent housing of their own. Hopefully they will continue this effort in other parts of the city. Efforts like those of Habitat for Humanity help revitalize neighborhoods and beautify neighborhoods. And that's a wonderful thing for the city. I'd like to commend the fire department for their quick response and actions in a recent fire on Maple Street. Multiple residents were displaced by the fire. One retail business was forced to temporarily relocate as a result of the fire. Remember, we all sleep well knowing that we're protected by the best public safety there is available today. I'd like to thank Mayor Collins for his continued efforts to address the refurbishing of many of our city streets and sidewalks. Again, this year, in a multi-year effort to improve the streets and sidewalks, the city will resurface 58,000 square feet of sidewalks and 22,000 feet of street surfaces throughout the city. So thank you, Mayor, for doing that. And also a lot to acknowledge the fact that today is Flag Day in our country. It's the symbol of our freedom. Flag Day is celebrated every June 14th. It commemorates the adoption of the flag of the United States on June 14th, 1777 by resolution of the Second Continental Congress. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Palmer, new business.
I guess it's kind of old and kind of new. I wanted to thank you for the public sessions on the DRI I attended. I think they were, the one I was at was well attended, and it seemed like a lot of people were engaged, and so I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Lapham, new business.
No new business.
Councilwoman Gooden, new business.
I just want to mention that I believe it's the city's first time they're going to be celebrating Juneteenth, and it's going to be on the 20th, Monday. It's going to be in City Park from 12 to 2, I believe. And actually, I believe it's the first time the city is actually celebrating it. So I just like to encourage people just to come out and just Juneteenth. I know I didn't know about Juneteenth until I was an adult, so it would be a good thing to bring the children out and to learn about it, really.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Great history awareness. I think it was the where it came to be, just so you have the background, that it was part of a negotiation process in the union contract that they made the suggestion, and we thought, well, that was a wonderful ability to recognize that. We felt that was the right thing to do, and it was a request. So whenever you can meet a request of a negotiation with something you want to do anyway, it was a win-win for everyone. So certainly for history and for awareness in our community. I wanted to, under new business, just mention I had hoped when Larry was here to do much more public awareness about the things that are going on in the city. There are so many things. I hope that you all see the great things happening here. The DRI was fantastic. I was a little worried that I might have one of those meetings and have more people on the dais than in the crowd. So I'm so grateful that there has been, and I've been calling business leaders in. I want you to all know that if there's any leaders or people that you, constituents, anybody that you'd like me to meet with that have concerns about the DRI, just let me know. And my evenings are weekday evenings, Monday through Thursday night. I set up and been meeting with folks. I'm trying to get the group together, so it's not all individual meetings, and I'm not leaving every night at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., but I want you all to know it's an option. The mayor's office is open. The only thing I'm doing differently is that I'm asking for people to make appointments. I don't really, one big change is that I'm asking people not to just wander in and ask to meet with the mayor, but if anybody who calls and asks to meet with Bernie, asks to meet with me and speaks to Bernie, we get them on the calendar as soon as we can. So the New York State Home Program was awarded up to 15 additional home buyer assistance projects with a $449,000 award that we got from New York State Home Program. It's a one-time deal. We don't know if we'll get the money again, but it allowed us to take some of that CBG money that we would normally put towards home improvement and first-time home buyers program, and it allowed us to use that towards the sidewalks and the paving, because we got this additional $449,000. So it is a great thing, and it can sneak by when it's one of 30 resolutions, right? There's just so much going on. I want to thank Councilwoman Gooden and the overnight parking people. I know that it was great to have the Board of Public Safety ask the same question. And just so you know, the council and I, as we look at our parking concerns, and we commission a parking study to look at downtown parking, this plays right into that. So it's perfect timing for us to look at the whole city's parking issues and try to plan for today and tomorrow. And so then, also thank you, Councilman Lappin, about the Complete Streets program. I asked Pat Dowd to attend as well. I know he's been meeting with Ethan as well in that group. Asked him to look at every group that's meeting and to try to bring one solid thing. So if you would work with him on that when you come to the council, I just want to make sure that we're not missing anybody out by accident. Right? There's so much going on. I think that the grant that you just approved now, that's been awarded. It was awarded like 3-4 years ago. And we just are now taking the action on these things and getting them off the burner and putting them into action. And if it doesn't kill anybody in City Hall, it'll all be for the best. It's a lot. We're doing so much, and I'm so proud of the work that the staff and everybody, you guys are supporting those changes. And that DRI update, again, thank you. It's so nice. I think that I've been told that I speak a little too much at some of those meetings, and it's not the first time I've heard such things, and I continue to learn and try to do better and get better, but it is all appreciated, even when we disagree or we have concerns. Some of I pull people in to talk about parking, and sometimes the conversations went way out here, and it caught me off guard, and I found myself without my mayor hat on, with the Bill Collins hat on, and I got into trouble every time, right? I started to debate instead of listen, and so I want you all to know how those meetings are going and how I am trying to listen and take it all in. It's hard when I think I have some information that they don't have, but I just need to listen, and I'll keep trying. Anybody have any further questions or comments? And
just with the Gateway program,
Yes.
I've got 3 different people who are interested in that over the past
Great.
week.
Okay.
So
Fantastic.
one's a young family with a kid, another's a single woman, and the other one's a grandmother.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if all of you know this, and I don't know that, but that I received the first time homebuyers grant here 28, 29 years ago, being in human services, and I qualified, and it helped my wife and I get out of an apartment and into a home that we've owned ever since. And so I don't know that we would have been able to do it without it. I'm actually proud of it. I know some people might not be, but so this money is so exciting to me, to get this in the hands of people who need it, and to address some of those concerns in the first ward that Mr. Unkoff brought to us. We need to utilize as much as we can and support people in their change and getting up and bringing themselves up. So with that, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Open this back up to public comment. I apologize. That's right.
I'll second that.
I don't think I
I'll
can
make
get
the
allowed to. Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.